Attorney General Emeritus, Mr. Muturi, please don't be as brief as the ambassador. Don't be as brief as the ambassador. It was too brief.
Thank you, the family of President Mwai Kibaki, the organizing committee, panelists, all of us that have attended this sacred lecture. Good afternoon. I will try to be copy Ambassador Mudaura, but let me say this. Indeed, I tend to be extremely brief because many people may not think when I speak in the presence of Norman Nyaga, my good friend, Mzee Joe Consolo Munyao, when I claim to be old, they always laugh at me. They think I'm a small boy. Now that I'm also claiming to be old, in that longest time, even when I was a young man, Norman, even as a student in high school, there's only one person in Kenyan political leadership that I always loved to one day meet. Was President Mwai Kibaki. But because we have been told quite some exciting stuff by the panelists, Nyao, now Ambassador Mudaura, I want to just pick one point, not about his eloquence and his capacity to debate any topic in Parliament. I found quite unique, but something that I think for me, I emulate from President Mwai Kibaki. We've talked about the many gifts that he has left this country. Talked about Vision 2030. And my worry is just that as it comes to an end, we may get into some darkness. Excellency Rigathi has always been telling people that whenever it gets very dark, it's just about dawn. It's just about to get to some light. But I fear for the country if it gets too dark. This document that at every time it's a distasteful. Before you take up any state job, you must swear by the Constitution. Defend it, uphold it, protect it. As my brother Eugene pointed out, dedicated the whole chapter 6. But know what? Actually, you don't need to read chapter 6. You just need to follow the public life of the longest serving member of parliament so far in this country, Mwai Kibaki. Chapter 6 is on leadership and integrity. How it is that somebody could have been in public life, in politics, that long, and to date, you don't hear anybody saying, oh, we planned this, they planned Thika Highway, but in the process of planning Thika Highway, there was this, which was supposed to sort out some things. This, for me, is extremely important. Even as we read that chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, we're told about ICT. How I wish we all in leadership could borrow a leaf. When we come up with projects public projects. We don't do so because we have hidden private interests in there. Actually, everything we do these days, as you go through the documents, you come to realize, oh, there's something here which is not very clear. How is it that President Mwai Kibaki went through it? Minister for Finance, Minister for Health, he's a minister, can't hear. And those very critical dockets, to date, you cannot see or hear what we hear today. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, whether you read chapter 6, read about President Mwai Kibaki, to know what it is. When we talk about good governance, when we talk about integrity in public leadership, in office, just need to read the history of Mwai Kibaki. Then you can read chapter 6, side of a lullaby. Because when you read the history of Mwai Kibaki, then integrity in public leadership, in public office, will become so clear to you that you don't need to read anything else. Many of you, I'm sure, are religious people, either Muslims or Christians or Hindus. You know, virtues of integrity, honesty. I think is a lot that we can learn just by reading the life of President Mwai Kibaki. Because it amazes me how somebody could have been in leadership, rising to the highest office, and we still cannot hear anything, not touching even on his family, not touching him, not even his close friends. It speaks volumes. That is the legacy of Mwai Kibaki that I live with. Thank you very much.
As the cabinet gives up and Mwai Kibaki, you're allowed to speak. Justin Muturi and I can tell you, the cabinet gives up. It's only me and you who speak. That is why we have to be edged out. The rest are flower girls. Praise and worship choir. We would have wanted, if things could reverse and we sat and Mwai Kibaki would have enjoyed, because he would have allowed us to contribute, to make meaningful contribution to the management of the affairs of the state. Haji, I've heard you correctly about the place of EP Novaya. I'm more concerned not even about EP Novaya. I'm more concerned about the quality of leadership in that constituency that was led by Mwai Kibaki. A graduate of the London School of Economics, greatest president of all times, men who represented Ovaya with wisdom, men who was a good debater. And when he was gone, the replacement of Mwai Kibaki today came. Member of Parliament who never speaks in Parliament. Who hasn't made any contribution on the floor of the House. And Ovaya now is a pale shadow of the Ovaya and the Mwai Kibaki. Coming this general election in 2027, we shall talk to the people of Ovaya to dignify the late Mwai Kibaki by looking for a quality legislator who, even if he cannot measure up to the level of Mwai Kibaki, and be there 60-70%. Present situation in Ovaya is embarrassing. It is very demeaning to the late Mwai Kibaki. The Ovaya people are crying for change. we'll be having conversation with them so that we can quality leadership and will be able to hold the democratic with high refuge. Mimi nimeshukuru sana, tuko hapa na viongozi wengi. Hii haja unataka tuwapatie, unataka ya tuko na the honorable Mano, viongozi wetu. Kuja sana jambo, his late brother was vice president to Mwai Kibaki. Alikuwa na kizungu mingi sana, hata huyo ana kizungu mingi but he served Mwai Kibaki well. So
thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Kibaki family, the leadership, the distinguished panel, and distinguished guests. Good afternoon. Let me start by thanking the Kibaki family and also the DP leadership for giving us the opportunity to be here today to remember a great leader. And as His Excellency has said, I think he's the most consequential leader of our republic. And as we remember him today, we remember words of a wise man who said that sometimes we are all warmed by fires we did not light, and we drink from wells we did not dig. This great leader, when you look at his symbol, there was something very unique about Kibaki. It was always about light. His symbol ya DP ilikuwa ni taa, mwangaza, lighting the way. When we came to NAC and several of our parties came together, my late brother had fought Kenya, we had others. Forming NAC again, Kibaki chose light, mwenge, the torch, to light the way. And the light that he left us is the Vision 2030. That is still the light guiding the journey that is our national development. We're in 2025. We have 5 years to go to 2030. So as we meet here today as leaders, let us start thinking about another light that from 2027, as we form the next government, we can have a leadership that can light another light beyond 2030, beyond Africa Agenda 2063. And I see that leadership in this room. I see the next government in this room. I thank the organizers for choosing this historic venue. Mwai Kibaki once met here with his friend Wamalo Kijana, his other friend Charity Ngilu. The late Kihika Kimani asked, ni nini wanaume wawili wanafanya na mwanamke mmoja kwa hoteli? Kumbe Kibaki was forming the next government. So those of you who are here, Kibaki's friends, let us look at this as a 202 moment. Let us drink from this well of inspiration, and let us be inspired to save our country. Because apart from Vision 2030, the greatest legacy left us was the Constitution. He appointed me as Minister for Justice. I remember when I invited him to address the judiciary, they were bidding him farewell. I told him, Mr. President, I don't know what historians will write about you. What will be your greatest legacy? They would have a hard time because they would wonder whether free primary education was your greatest legacy. They would wonder whether the phenomenal infrastructure development was your greatest legacy. But I told him, Your Excellency, I think your greatest legacy will be the Constitution 2010. All we need to do as a country is to remain and to protect that Constitution and to implement it fully and faithfully. It's being violated time and again. It was violated last year on the 25th of June when young people, the Gen Z, were slaughtered, demanding for accountability, good governance, and an end to corruption. Yesterday, I was in Nakuru as a lawyer acting for Butere Girls. We are not talking about the Gen Z. This is the Gen Alpha. Kids, children, being tear gassed, being injured, being denied one of the most fundamental freedoms in that constitution, freedom of expression. A child should be allowed to express themselves freely, not as a favor from the state, but it is a constitutional protection of our children, nationally and internationally. So as we remember Mwai Kibaki, let us remember to remain and to uphold fidelity to our Constitution and to get in place the right leadership in 2027. Thank you and God bless you.